Right. Hey everyone, this is a career interview with Director of Corporate Partnerships for the LA Clippers, Scott Gwartz. Thanks for coming on.
You got it, Sean. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, could you just briefly describe your role and what you enjoy most about it?
Yeah, so I'm the director of corporate partnerships for the Clippers. It's a sales job. It's a development job. I'm tasked with driving corporate partnerships, sponsorships for the LA Clippers. Because it's a revenue generating job. We're kind of tied to the amount of money we bring in as a group. So I'm tasked with reaching out to the corporate community and seeing who is interested in aligning with the Clippers. And there's many different platforms and programs and opportunities that we put together, and each package that we develop is somewhat customized to each company. But yeah, that's kind of what I do in a nutshell.
Yeah, thank you. And then on top of that, would you just describe one of the greatest highlights of your career? I know you work with a lot of different companies. What would you say is the best highlight of your career so far?
Yeah, and I missed the second part of your first question. So I think the best part of my job is the relationships that I'm able to build with some great people in the industry, and that's both on the marketing side, the brand side, the company side, on the agency side, internally with the organizations that I worked for and worked with. Just there's some great people, and some of those people I've become not just colleagues with, but really good friends. So I think that's the best thing. And the other part of that, I guess, the if that's 1A, the 1B is the access that we get to these amazing events and celebrities and athletes. I mean, we really are able to get up close and personal and bring our clients to that level too. So I think those are the two great things. In terms of career highlights, I have a few. I've never tried to make it about myself, but there are a few things that I'm really proud of. When I first started in my career, I did a deal that was recognized as the first green energy partnership. This was back in 2006. It was a deal with a company called Firm Green. It was when I was working in the tennis industry, and they became the official green energy sponsor of the events that I was working on, and it was written up in the trade. So that was a cool one. And look, I think I'm really proud of boasting success at every property and every level that I've been at, and not just individual success, team success too, and bringing other people along and mentoring them and helping my colleagues succeed as well.
Yeah, I really like what you mentioned about the developing relationships with your partners and stuff. I think that's one of the best parts of the job that people from the outside don't often get to see. So I think that's a great thing you mentioned there.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, some of my best relationships took 2 years just to get a meeting with, and now, after multiple years of building a relationship, we're friends. And pre-COVID, we would get, our wives would go out to dinner every other month, and we play golf all the time. So yeah, I mean, it's like I said, it's not just about who becomes your clients, but who becomes your friend.
Definitely. And then for your role, what are some character traits or skills that you say have been most useful for you?
I think communication is a huge skill that you need to be successful. And it's funny when I was your age, I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do, and the sports business was a lot different back then, and I didn't really know much about it. And actually went to UCI for a year and a half, and I studied English. And I think my experience there in that capacity helped me build some tools and characteristics that I have now, and I'm able to utilize in my current job. So I think communication is big. I think having thick skin is big, and I say that for multiple levels on the sales end. my job, I get told no a lot. You can't take it personally. And a lot of times I get told a lot from internal colleagues within the organization. They maybe have an idea or a opportunity I bring to the group, and they reject it for one reason or not. So I think you gotta have that. You gotta have pretty thick skin to succeed.
Yeah, definitely. And communication is something that's always preached. Communication, networking about most jobs in the sports industry. So I think that was a great point as well.
Yeah.
If there's is there anything different that you think you should have done along your career journey? And if there is, what would it be?
It's hard to say. I like that question. I don't know if I would do things differently, because when you learn things as you go, right? And a lot of the things that haven't worked out for me throughout my career, I've learned from, and that's benefited me in the long run. I will say, if you have a good boss, you have a good job. One second, let me close the door. My kids are being loud. I've left opportunities. I left jobs where I had a really good boss and a good culture and good working environment, and taking jobs with some uncertainty and a little bit of risk. And look, I grew along the way, but and I'm not saying I regret any of the decisions I made, but it's helped me learn that if you have a good boss, you have a good job no matter where you're at.
Mhm. And another question I had is, who's an athlete you admire and why?
Yeah, so my first boss actually out of college was Billie Jean King. The do you know who she is?
I actually do not know.
Yeah, you should look her up, and don't worry about it. A lot of college kids, recent grads, young adults in their 20s don't know who she is, but you really should. She's done. She was a famous tennis player who had a lot of success on the court, major championships, but what she's done for gender equality and gender equity, female equity, far surpasses her accomplishments on the court. She started the Women's Sports Foundation. She was the push behind Title IX. You should check her out. And she was my first boss out of college, which was awesome. And I learned so much from her. And she is truly a legend. So I think start with her is probably the number one. And I'm very fortunate to have gained that friendship with her.
Yeah, it's amazing. I'll definitely look more into her. Um, and just in preparation, we have the Sports Industry Showcase Conference coming up. What's something you would advise college students in order to maximize their experience from that event?
What's it called?
The Sports Industry Showcase Conference, the one Ron is going to be hosting.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, I think it depends on what, I can answer this question in many different levels. I think, for a college kid who's interested in getting into the sports industry, you should have somewhat of a focus, but be mindful and flexible enough to take what you can get right out of college, because it's tough. It's really hard to get a job right out of school. And that statement might sound like a dichotomy a bit, but what I see a lot is young adults, recent grads, college students just say they want to work in the sports industry, but they don't really know what that means.
Mm-hmm.
They don't really know what they want. And so I think it's helpful, and you come across smarter if you say, hey, I'm Sean, I'm really interested in this capacity of the sports industry, and you name it. It could be sponsorship, it could be tickets, it could be operations, promotions, marketing, licensing. I mean, there's so many things. And that's your goal, is to have a position in that capacity, but you're really eager to learn what different opportunities are and how I could break in and start. So I think that's the approach that you should make as it relates to finding a job. Obviously, networking is huge, and doing the kind of stuff you're doing now with me is extremely important because you never know who can help you down the line. So yeah, I think that is, those two things are important. I think the another thing is pay attention to the trends and what's going on in the industry that you're wanting to get into. For instance, in sponsorship right now, COVID's taken a beating to the industry, but what are the key takeaways during COVID, or what are the learnings, or what's emerged over the past few months? And I'll give you an example. One is the sports betting category. Companies across the globe are trying to break into the category. In US, it's the business is still emerging. It's already big, and it's going to be massive in 5 to 6 years. So I think if you could study and become an expert on a idea or concept like that, it'll help you in the long run.
Yeah, definitely. Sports industry is fast growing and changing all the time. So I think that's great advice for anyone attending that conference as well. So thank you so much. That's all the questions I had. Thank you for answering everything. I appreciate it.